Good evening, and we are calling our meeting to order. It's Tuesday, March the 19th. This month is moving right along. It's shortly after the 6 p.m. hour. We're in the heart of Old Town Conyers in the Assembly Hall at 901 Main Street, and we want to call our meeting to order this afternoon. And we're doing so by starting with special recognitions and presentations of the 17U boys basketball team, district champions. We have a lot to celebrate. Director Redmond, yes.
Good evening, Chairman.
Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Commissioner. So today we're here, as you just said, to acknowledge the 17U boys basketball team. So we'll start with a short video from PR.
Okay.
Thank you for that, public relations. So that short video just summed up an entire season that we have for these young men that are sitting here tonight that are joining us. So the first people that I want to thank is a round of applause for is the parents. So if we could acknowledge the parents, because I don't think they gave them license yet. I don't think they're driving just yet. So parents had to transport them back and forth to practice and to games. I also would like to thank the coaches that worked with the kids this year, Mr. Larry Sams. Also, Mr. Ladarius Howard.
All right.
I also would like to thank the Parks and Recreation staff that worked so diligently this season to get this goal accomplished. That would be Deputy Director Wilson, Miss Aaliyah Jackson, and Mr. Otis Key.
All right.
So the Board of Commissioners agenda said that we are the District 6 champs, and we are. So last year, the 17U won the District 6 championship for GRPA District 6.
Okay.
So this year, we're proud to say that we're repeating champions for that.
Oh, wow. Repeat.
Last year, we lost to East Marietta down in Savannah, Georgia in the state playoffs. And East Marietta, they have come to scout us several times this year, actually, when we were playing in the district this year. They actually came in Johnson Park, sat down, and watched us play.
Wow.
In preparation for us going to battle with them again this year in the state. So before I make the next announcement, I want to read this short quote by Colin Powell. It says, "There are no secrets to success. It is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure."
Yes.
And so that last line, learning from failure. So from that, these young men, they learned a valuable lesson last year when they lost in the state playoffs. And so this year, I'm proud to say and announce that this year we face East Marietta in the championship game, and we are the 2024 state champs for the state of Georgia.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, where's he? Okay. Coach Darrell, raise your hand, please. Can we give Coach Darrell a round of applause?
Yes, Coach Darrell.
Coach D has been the chaperone through and through throughout the season. So if we get, guys, if you want to get on this side of the podium, we'll get a quick picture, and then I'll allow Coach Sams to speak really quick. He would like to.
Okay. All right. Very good.
This is our first blue banner. We have some red ones, but now we're the top in the state.
We like blue. We like blue. Something about blue.
Smile one time for me, guys. Let me give you the other picture next. All right. Guys, all right. Thank you. Thank you, guys. You guys can take your seat. Coach Sams, if you want to come up to the podium just to speak a little bit about this season and your experience.
Well, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Coach.
I really appreciate the opportunity to address the board and all of our parents and some other dignitaries in the community. I just want to start off by saying a little bit about myself.
Yes, sir.
I've been coaching for almost 2 decades, give or take. Clayton County, DeKalb County, and then mostly in Rockdale. The one thing that I can take away from being able to work with these young men and the community as a whole is that the path and the progress from where we were versus where we are has greatly improved. So we were hoping and wanting to work toward doing better each and every year. Director Redmond spoke about the burn of losing to a team that we felt like we were better than. But I took that as an opportunity to say, okay, we need to work harder. We need to prepare better. We need to make sure that the preparation was clear and clean and the hard work was done. You cannot expect to get results if you're not willing to do the work. And that's not just basketball, that's not just athletics, that's all things in life. You have to work hard at it. If you don't, then quite frankly, if you don't want to perfect your craft, you don't deserve to be there. So with that being said, I wanted to make sure that the community sees that not every 14, 15, 16-year-old is a deviant or causing problems. We have 10 walking, talking, breathing examples of excellence. I also want to thank our parents. When we said, hey, this is what we want to do, we asked the question, are you in? They were all in. So, Rockdale Nation, I want to give you a round of applause. So I don't think they were ready for what we were bringing. They got loud, we got louder.
All right.
They ran, we ran faster. They worked, we worked harder. So, in closing with that, we want to make sure that everyone understands here that it takes the effort, it takes the commitment, but it also takes a certain level of financial backing at some point. We see the new gymnasium, we love it. We want another one. You know what I mean? We want a complex, several weight rooms, we want another pool. You know, that's the vision. We understand it doesn't happen overnight, but that's the vision, we get it. So with that being said, this has been a process, not just this year, several years in the making. We'd like to see some of the younger kids get this opportunity as well. So guess what? We're going to push them. We're going to push them. The expectations are going to be high going forward. So we want everybody to understand that we're not done. We're not done. We're not done. All right. So thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate everything. Guys, thank you. God bless everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it. And just to acknowledge, we also had the 10U, 12U, and 14U participate at the district level this year. They fell short in the district, but we're very hopeful for them next year. And to the young men that participated this year, guys, this is never let anybody tell you what your worth is, right? Understand your worth, all right? Good job this year. Keep moving forward. Thank you.
And Director Redmond, before you go, first I want to yield to Commissioner Williams for her comments about all this. And then I've got a couple things I want to say just before you take your seat. Okay.
So I can't stop smiling. This is just awesome. I just want to congratulate all of you because it takes really hard work. But what I'm really impressed with is what you learned from last year and could redo and prepare and be stronger this year. I like your coach said, that is a life lesson right there. Because so many of us have failed so many times, but you just have to keep going. You have to say, well, what could I do differently? Or maybe I should go a different path, or, you know. But I am super proud of you. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner. I want to do something just a little bit different. I want to ask, first of all, Director Redmond, that you would have your staff that assisted, as you called them out at the beginning, the three staff members, or the 4 staff members that's a part of this. Come on up. Y'all, let's give them a round of applause as they're coming up. Absolutely. One of the things we're getting into the habit, and we've started doing this more and more even last year, and I really appreciate the leadership from Director Redmond that, and we send this all across the county too, Commissioner, that everybody has embraced this understanding that no one gets anything done by themselves. And I've seen Director Redmond time and time again spotlight the multiple individuals that's a part of Parks and Recreation that is helping him carry out these initiatives. So I want you to acknowledge every name of each person that's here, Director. Go right ahead.
Thank you. First, we have the athletics manager, Mr. Otis. We have athletics attendant, Mr. Darrell.
Mr. Darrell.
Administrative operations coordinator, Mr. Leah.
Mr. Leah.
Operations supervisor, Ms. Bruton.
All right, Ms. Bruton.
Operations manager, excuse me, I got too many positions in my department. Operations manager, Ms. Bruton, and Deputy Director Wilson.
All right. And so, Commissioner Williams and Director Redmond, and to all of you all who are watching and listening, I wanted to make sure, because again, we say this repeatedly, no one, and that's the truth, no one gets anything done by themselves. And we have a very talented workforce and a talented staff of people that make us do and help us do the things we do here in Rockdale County. If they take their seats, y'all give them another round of applause.
Thank you, guys.
And before you leave, Director Redmond, I want to call up these community coaches.
Yes, sir.
The value of people in our community giving up their time and talent. I want all of the community coaches who have played a part in assisting with these young people, please come up to be acknowledged. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it is so critically important, because let me say this, as the community coaches are making their way to the front, a lot of times people don't realize, but it does take a village.
It does.
It does take a complete village. And when you have people in our community who give up their time and their talent and their resources, and watch this, and they don't have to do it, and they're not getting paid. They're doing it out of the love of their heart and the interest for seeing us have a better community. One of the things that Coach Sam mentioned as he was talking, everything he said had validity and powerful and very profound. But the thing that I really appreciated, he says we have 10 positive examples of young people that are moving in the right direction, and they're representing Rockdale County and what we stand about. That in itself. Oh yeah. And I wanted to kind of go off script a little bit, Commissioner, because the media spends so much time highlighting all of the negative things that are happening in our community, and no one spends enough time highlighting all of the positive things. We have more people, more young people doing positive things than there are doing negative things, but we only hear about the not so good news. So we won't see this on the 6 o'clock news or the 11 o'clock news, but it will be on Rockdale County Channel 23, and we'll be playing it over and over and over. But let me say this to you and to the young people and to the coaches. Coaches, we appreciate you, and this is the moment we want to just take out and carve out to highlight you for the work that you do and your contribution. And to the parents, let me say, when you have someone outside of your home who don't live in your house, that love and care about the future progress of your children, they are to be commended and highlighted because it does take that village to do that. So in your own special way, we want to make sure that you all show appreciation, but we want to let you know that Rockdale County Board of Commissioners, our Parks and Rec, and many people in this community appreciate the work that each of you do to help make Rockdale County the absolute best county in the state of Georgia. Give these coaches a round of applause. Absolutely. There's another coach out there, he's being shy. You can't hide. Y'all give him a round as he coming up. Give him a round of applause. It's so important that we recognize everybody, and we certainly do appreciate you working with Parks and Recreation, you working with Director Redmond and his team and his staff to make sure that we make a positive impact into the lives of the young people here in Rockdale County. As they take their seat, give them another round of applause.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Director. Thank you. Commissioner Williams, thank you for bearing with me, and I know you agree that we can't not enough recognize these young people for what they're doing. Executive Director Rutledge, are we back on track now?
We
I
are
believe
back on track now.
We're back
ready
on track.
For agenda review.
Let me give an opportunity if there needs to be a transition. We're getting ready to get into the business of Rockdale County. If you feel a need that you need to leave and don't want to hear all this other financial business that we get ready, before I get to talking and you need to head out, I'm going to give you that opportunity to leave at this time if you want to leave, if you need to leave. If not, we're going to go right into our business. Thank you all. Yes, come on. Yeah, it's good to see you too, and thank you. Yes, yes. Let me give you my card too. God bless you. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Okay, and thank you as we allowed for that transition to take place. Didn't really want that to kind of happen as we got into the meat of the business. Let's move forward now. If we will move right into the agenda review.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item is item 2024-146, and 147 goes along with it. That's under unfinished business for next Tuesday. Item 146 is a future land use map case 2023-02, an ordinance to amend the future land use map of Rockdale County, Georgia's comprehensive plan as amended so as to redesignate property located at Northwest Ebenezer and 0 Highway 138 from the office institutional future land use category to the high density future land use category to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a second reading next Tuesday. Item 147 goes along with item 146. It's rezoning case 2023-09. An ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning Northwest Ebenezer in 0 Highway 138 from AR Agricultural Residential District to MRU Mixed Residential Use District to impose conditions upon the property to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a second reading next Tuesday.
Okay.
And we have item 7, nothing's on the consent agenda as yet. Regular agenda, item 148 is the Council of Accountability Court Judges to the Juvenile Court. This is for Accountability Court Operating Grant Application through Family Treatment Court. The amount is $50,801 with a $9,034 match. The term is July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025.
Okay.
Item 149 is the Council of Accountability Court Judges to the Juvenile Court for Accountability Court Operating Grant Application for Drug Court. The amount is $74,466 with a $13,141 match. The term is July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. Item 150 is with the Council of Accountability Court Judges to the Juvenile Court for Accountability Court Operating Grant Application through the Drug Court. The amount is $61,767 with a $10,900 match. The term is July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. Item 151 is with Georgia Piedmont Technical College through the Water Resources Department for WorkSource Georgia grant application for incumbent worker training. The amount is $25,000 with $64,000 in-kind match is for 1 year and submitted for ratification. Item 152 is with Superior Document Solutions Incorporated through the Technology Services Department for Sourcewell printer copier contract for multiple departments. It's change order number 3 to contract 2023-142 for additional copier printers and upgrades. It's an additional $167.88 per month for a total of $10,072.80 for 5 years, and it's funded through the general fund. Item 153 is with Superior Document Solutions for Technology Services Department for Sourcewell printer copier contract for multiple departments. It's change order number 4 to contract 2023-142 for additional copier printers and upgrades. It's an additional $167.88 per month with a total of $10,072.80 for 5 years, and it's through the Water Fund. Item 154 is with Hotel 45 Marriott through the Talent Management Department for the Teach Retreat Training for Directors and Deputy Directors. It's an estimated amount of $8,060. The term is May 29th, 2024 through May 31st, 2024, and it's submitted for ratification.
Okay.
Item 155 is with Academy Limited doing business as Sports Outdoors through the Parks and Recreation Department. This is a sponsorship agreement with benefits to the county. The amount is a $4,000 revenue value sponsor is for 1 year until April 1st, 2025. Item 156 is with Georgia Power through RDOT Department. This is for encroachment agreement for the easement for construction under the power lines for the Fire Training Center, Klondike Porterdale Primary. It's a 230 kV. Item 157 is with Construction Materials Services, CMS, for the RDOT Department. This is task order number 1 under contract 2023-161D for the River Street emergency repairs. The amount is $9,500 and the term is 60 days.
Director, do you know when this will start on the River Street emergency repairs? I know the work has been completed on the other part and you're just doing the transportation piece. Do you know when will this actually start?
Good evening, Commissioners, Chairman. So this is already in progress. You've actually already put down the base layer.
Yes, sir.
So the actual first level of binding will go down tomorrow.
So it's already started?
Already in progress.
Outstanding. Any idea on completion then?
Give me about 2 weeks.
Okay.
But we're pushing. As long as
Okay.
the weather holds up,
Yes,
we're
sir.
moving.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you. Thank you, Director. Next item, please.
Okay, item 158 is with Complete Demolition Services LLC through the RDOT Department for Courtesy Parkway Demolition Project. The amount is $408,000, $408,856. The completion is June 23rd, 2024. This is SPLOST funded and submitted for ratification.
Okay.
Item 159 is a requisition through the General Services Department for the M. Mitchell Group for concrete for the DeCastro Nature Center. The amount is $64,165.42. This is SPLOST and grant funded.
And I want to ask Director Hamlin just to give us a brief, real brief, Director, on this that's going on out at the DeCastro Nature Center. Tell us about this concrete.
Sure. Good evening, Chairman, Madam Commissioners. When we did the DeCastro Center, we broke it up into 3 pieces because of the historical nature of it and the sensitivity for the chimney out there and the historic part of it.
Right.
So we did the demolition as one portion of it, a selective demolition, and that way we can make sure that we had the foundation correct. And Mitchell is our unit price contractor for concrete, so we're having them do the concrete, and then one of our other unit price contractors is doing the framing.
So is it safe to say that we were able to preserve the historic part of the structure that we're trying to hold on to.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's
All
correct.
right.
So we're able to preserve the chimney, and then
Okay.
we had some selective removal of some of the old cedar shakes that we have, and we're going to repurpose those into a display wall.
Well, good job. We look forward to seeing the finished product. Thank you, Director. Next item.
Item 160 is a requisition through the Technology Services Department for DICE's solution. This is for the Cisco Umbrella Security subscription. The amount is $26,032.20. Item 161 is a requisition through the Technology Services Department for DICE's solution for infrastructure for telephone contract center for Rockdale Water Resources in the Tax Commissioner's Office. The amount is $65,825.52.
Okay.
Item 162 is rezoning case 2024-02, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning 1900 Southeast Dogwood Drive from RM Residential Multifamily to M1 Limited Industrial, to impose conditions upon the property, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday.
Okay.
Item 163 is rezoning case 2024-03, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning 1079 Southwest Johnson Road from C2 General Commercial to RM Residential Multifamily, to impose conditions upon the property, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday. Item 164 are volunteer appointments. Item A is with Viewpoint Health Board for Yvette Morton Williams to fulfill an unexpired term of Shane Nolden. The term will be July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2026, and it begins April 1st, 2024.
Okay.
Item B is with the Department of Family and Children's Services for DFACS. This is for the reappointment of Diane Howington. The term is June 30th, 2023 through June 30th, 2028, and it's submitted for ratification. Item 165 is a requisition through the Emergency Management Agency for AED brands for the AEDs for multiple county facilities. The amount is $68,362.82. This is ARPA funded and submitted for ratification.
And I'm going to take a pause there just for a second for Director Morgan to come up and tell us about the additional facilities in the county that you've added the AED.
Thank you. Yes, good evening. Over the past 4 or 5 years, we have essentially piecemeal been putting 5 or 6 AEDs in different county facilities, and the chief of staff asked me, and also we did some research, there is a law on the books potentially coming in that will require every government facility to have an AED. So we decided to go ahead and bite the bullet. We did a research project. This is about 36 AEDs that will cover multiple facilities that do not have them, and a number of them on the trail system and in outdoor parks. So this represents 36 AEDs purchased all at one time. 19 of them will be inside. 15 of them will be stationed outside at parks and recreation areas around the county. 2 of them will be mobile units, senior services, so they can take them anytime they take the seniors on a bus trip.
Very good. And I want you to take a moment. Most of us in here know what an AED is. Somebody listening and watching don't know what that even stands for. Can you educate them?
I would be glad to. AED is an automated external defibrillator. That is what you try to do during CPR or after CPR or before CPR when someone has a cardiac event. If an AED is available to shock them back into rhythm, the chances of surviving a cardiac event are much higher than just CPR alone. So we want to put as many of these out in the community that these are person-friendly. They tell you what to do. You know, open the box, put it on the chest, hit the button, that type of thing. They're very good devices. If you remember Squad 51, I don't know if you go that far back.
Now,
AEDs were only on fire trucks and ambulances.
You know that was a real test right there. It's not too many people that even know what you're talking about.
Well, if you see them doing that and in the ER this is stuff you do that a citizen can do with little or no training in the field. This is a safety and medical device we want to put out so that people will have access to them to save lives.
Well, let me just say, Commissioners, this is great news for Rockdale County. When you talk about emergency services, particularly our fire and rescue, who respond to so many more medical emergencies than they do fire, but to have this equipment out in our parks, and particularly in our parks, and really in all of the county facilities, it saves time. It's going to take a moment for someone to dial 911, for the truck, the EMT, the paramedics to receive the call, to leave the bay, to drive through traffic, to get to. By having these devices, and they're almost foolproof, it tells you what to do. And the layperson can actually activate the device, and it may add some time in terms of that person getting to the medical responders and to the hospital. It could really turn things around by having. So it's a big plus that our community now have them, and particularly out at all. And I like your forward thinking. Although there's legislation that's moving through right now to mandate this, we're not waiting. We didn't wait for a mandate. We're going ahead and implementing this and having it in an effort to save lives.
Whether there's a law or not, they need to be out there.
They need to be out there. Well, we got them in Rockdale County.
Yes, sir. And the reason this is a ratification is a little cherry on top of the cake here is the prices go up April 1st. It's a ratification. We save $10,000 on this order alone.
A round of applause for the cherry on the cake. Absolutely. Thank you, Director. Thank you so much. Next item.
All right, item 166 is a resolution of the Rockdale County Board of Commissioners to accept the withdrawal of rezoning case 2024-04 and future land use case 2024-01 without prejudice, and to waive the 12-month prohibition on the subsequent amendment application on the subject site.
Very good. All right.
That
Looks
is it.
like we're down to public comment.
Yes, and I have not received any red cards if anyone intends to speak tonight.
All right, we're moving on to board comment, and we will start. I'm gonna let Commissioner Washington yield and get her thoughts together. Commissioner Williams, I'm gonna start with you tonight, and then we'll come back to Commissioner Washington. Absolutely, and I know she always appreciates a little grace, so we're gonna give her some grace tonight, and we'll come back to her. Commissioner Williams, what say you?
Okay, so this Saturday at 12 o'clock at Park Place Church in Snellville on Lenora Church Road, Grit and Grace, along with the Park Place Church, Overcomers Cathedral, and Push Ministries, we'll be having a day filled with ministry, stories of hope and motivation, and fun food. The idea is to support the cohesion of spiritual development and recovery. And then on March 30th from 1 to 4, they will have a fun-filled day of hunting for colorful eggs, bounce houses, face painting, food, games, and more. And then they will have a service on Sunday at Grit and Grace. So Grit and Grace is doing a really good job of trying to include families in the person's recovery and provide activities for families, but to reach all the components, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, physical needs of those people who are coming into recovery. It's a hard thing for many of them. Most of them actually, as they come into recovery, and they need a lot of support, and they're getting a lot from what we're doing with the Stepping Up initiative and what Grit and Grace, a nonprofit, is doing also. So last week we had a really long meeting, and so I saved my presentation for today. Okay. So we should have it up there, but I'll share my book first. There it is. The Quilters of Gee's Bend, Alabama. This is for Women's History Month. You know, we talk a lot about women who are famous, but what about all the women who are just doing the best they can to provide for their families? That is me. And that's how these quilters were. This was a Black community. Next slide, please. Okay, if you see, that's the Alabama River, and down at the bottom part is G's Bend, and it's encircled by three sides of water. It's almost like an inland island. And extreme poverty. People came in, the federal government came in the 40s with FDR, some of FDR's social justice kinds of things. Did a little bit, but then, like happened in a lot of communities across the United States, they left. And it didn't really help these people. So let's go to the next slide. So they made quilts. They used work clothes. They used scraps of cloth. They used anything any piece of fabric they had to make quilts to keep their families warm. That was their whole thing. These are women who were, most of these families were descendants of slaves, and many were shareholders. Is that the right word?
Croppers.
Sharecroppers. Sharecroppers, that's the word I'm looking for, thank you. And so they would work in the fields during the day, but they were still providing for their families and in all the other necessities. What happened was somebody came into the community for some reason and saw these quilts hanging on, on lines, and was super impressed. If you look at the quilt on the left, I love that one. It's got the pockets from different pairs of jeans. The other one on the right has scraps of fabric along with the jeans. I think my favorite story is the one where the woman put a quilt together from her husband's work clothes after he passed away, so she could just hold him close. Okay, next slide, please. So this is one of the women who is a quilter. The Petway is a really common name.
It is.
Because it was the Petway plantation, and so many of them took that name. What they've learned over the years is that while there's mothers and daughters and friends and everybody who would get together and make these quilts, there was an individuality to each of them. And I personally love them, and I love the story behind them. In the last few years, they are now able to, starting in the 90s, the late 90s, when these quilts were discovered, they were sold at Bloomingdale's and at Sears and some other things, and these women started to be able to provide economically for their families. And then quilts kind of fell out of fashion, and then that was a problem. Another one of my favorite stories is Martin Luther King came to this community. And if you think back about that map, the place where they got groceries and paid their bills and voted was across the river. And there was a ferry that went across the river. And not too long after Martin Luther King was there, they disbanded the ferry service. And it then took them an hour to drive all the way around to get to just those basic necessities. And they were part of a push to get the women and the men to go vote, even if it was going to take that long. And one of the quilts, and I couldn't find a picture of it, but I've seen it. One of the quilts actually has "vote" written into it, to encouraging their community.
That was the Bloomingdale quilt. That wasn't the Sears quilt. That was the Bloomingdale.
Probably so. So, two things. Though in 2006, the High Museum of Art had an exhibition of their quilts, and they brought the quilters to an event on a Friday night. And so I was able to go to that event. And they were singing and they were sharing stories about their quilts. And then as I was teaching 8th grade social studies at the time, which is Georgia history. This is Alabama, but it could be a little place in Georgia too. As part of civil rights, we were talking about this. And so I took my 8th graders down to that. And then they decided they wanted to make a quilt. And so I brought that quilt. They brought in old clothes and t-shirts, and looks like I've got it upside down. And then we added, we put pockets into it, like the G's Bend quilts. And then the kids tied it. And I have to tell you, it was mostly the boys, 8th grade boys, who came in early in the mornings before school to tie this quilt, which I loved. We made quilts a number of different years, but and we always gave them to somebody in the class who really needed a quilt. I loved this one though. I kept
So
it.
you kept that one.
So the next slide, please. So there's an exhibit coming to the High again in June until January. Patterns and Abstraction Black Quilts from the High's collection. And the High Museum has a whole lot of G's Bend quilts and in their collection, but they don't have them all on exhibit. Usually there's just 2 or 3 that are out, but they're going to highlight them, G's Bend, as well as other black quilters. So that's just one of the quilts that they used in their advertising. So I'm excited to go see that, but I think what happens is we need to remember the women who are just doing what needs to be done.
Amen.
Taking care of their children, teaching their children, providing for the things that they need. Many of their husbands were working long hours. Some of their husbands died early and they became the primary giver, provider in the family. And so I'm just excited to share with you about the quilters of G's Bend, Alabama.
All right. Well, Commissioner, I feel like that we were in your social studies class. And a moment of that lesson, I was getting a little emotional there, and you was telling the story, but it was certainly a lot of good history. And when you made mention in reference last week to G's Bend, Alabama, I wasn't quite sure where it was or what all you were talking about, but now it has come full circle. And what an interesting story. What an interesting story. And then you went on to do the closing research of letting us know that it's going to be on display at the High Museum coming up all the way from the summer to the beginning of next year. So y'all give Commissioner Williams a round of applause. Absolutely. There's the benefits of having an educator on board the BOC,
Right.
that at the drop of a dime, we can go right into a classroom setting and to the theatrics of our mind,
Right.
and take us to a good history lesson there.
I'm sitting
as she
next-
commemorate.
I'm sitting next to
history.
Margaret Jackson at the test.
Oh, okay.
I'm sitting next to Margaret.
Go right ahead, Commissioner.
And am I having to separate you?
I'm used to it. This didn't just start. Yes, that was excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Gosh, Economic Development Town Hall will be this Monday, the 25th at JP Carr, 6 to until we have a lot of things. We're so excited about all the things that are going on in economic development. with CRETSI and the Development Authority. The CID, we're doing another presentation on CIDs, what they are, and how we think they could benefit the community. So I look forward to seeing everybody there on the 25th at 6 o'clock. We are going to have a brief presentation from Water to tell the world that we are open and ready for business with our water department. So I'm looking forward to this town hall.
Okay.
I'd like to congratulate Cameron's Angels. They're a nonprofit organization who help children that are in need, and they had their fundraiser this past week, and I had the honor of presenting them with their proclamation. It was a great event, and Yvette Morton Williams, the lady that we just appointed to Viewpoint Health, she did get a Lifetime Achievement Award at that presentation. So it was a great event, and hats off to Cameron's Angels for all of the work that they do in our community. Last week, we also had an economic development tour where we had developers and members of the development community come and do a tour of Rockdale County and all of the things that we're doing regarding economic development, looking at some of the properties that we're showcasing on a national and international level. And so I would like to thank Steve Bromell, because we got to go to Pro Cutters. Oh my goodness, it could be an event space in and of itself. He hosted us for that Developers Day, and I can't say enough how he showed out. And you would never think that a lawn care service would be that great. It is amazing. So thank you, Mr. and Ms. Bromell, for your hospitality. But that they haven't had that kind of showcase in numerous years, and this was the first time we've done it since I've been involved with CRETSI at least, but they've said it's been a long time since we've done something like that. So it was really good to have people out looking at Rockdale County in that regard. We also attended the Teal Ball from the Hands Off Foundation's Teal Ball. It was good. One of the things that caught my attention with that is that this is a young man who is so passionate about domestic violence that he has started a foundation and has put his heart and soul into helping women, people, but mostly women that are victims. The statistic is anywhere from 1 in 4 to 1 in 6 women at any given time, any given place, are a victim of sexual or physical abuse. And his foundation is dedicated to helping these women, and he has a grand vision. So if you all have the opportunity, please go to his website, look it up, and if you have the opportunity, please donate to, well, I don't know if I can say that, but please support his cause, because he's doing a great job. The chairman was there also, and if you've ever met Jeremiah, he is the chairman's child. Like, he acts just like them. He has just as much energy. He has the same jokes, everything. I was like, is this a mini you? But yeah, but
did you get a teddy bear that says hands off?
They gave them out, but I was trying to make sure that the chairman got mine. So I wanted that picture, but he left before he could get the.
I had another event.
Yeah, but he did a good job.
I have my teddy bear.
Oh, you have your teddy bear? I didn't get, so now you know I want one.
T-shirt.
But yeah, it was a great event for a great cause. Last week also was the first meeting of the housing cohort at ARC. I was so proud to represent Rockdale County as we talk about the needs for different types of housing in the metro area. You know, one of the myths is that Rockdale County, Rockdale County, but city of Atlanta is full and that we don't need any more people coming in. Well, the reality is there are going to be many more people coming in. and we are still underdeveloped in this county. So we're going to have to figure out how to make the workforce housing and people who are going to work every day, give them a space in this market, because as you all know, that the market rates are plentiful. So I'm looking forward to working with this cohort and working out these issues. Let's see. I would like to say happy birthday to Representative Doreen Carter. Today is her birthday, so we did celebrate that a little bit this weekend, but I'm officially saying happy birthday here. My last thing is my women's history fact, and I actually started looking this up when they called us about the what are those called? The things that we're buying that we just got for the AED. Right, okay. So I was like, it would be great to know who the first woman physician was in this country. And her name was Elizabeth Blackwell. She was the first woman to earn a medical degree. But I wanted to read the story because when you hear about, in October of 1847, Blackwell was accepted to Geneva Medical School in Geneva, New York. The dean and faculty, usually responsible for evaluating an application for matriculation, initially were unable to make a decision. They put the issue up to vote by the 150 male students of the class with the stipulation that if one student objected, Blackwell would be turned away. The young men voted unanimously to accept her, but they did it as a joke. So she got into school, but they didn't expect for her to succeed, and she did eventually succeed and became the first woman physician in this country. And so that's all I have, and unfortunately for you all, I had to go after Dr. Williams, so I can't come back.
Well, we'll extend to you a little bit more grace. If you think of something, let us know. We've got a few things from our leadership team that I want to just make mention to as we prepare to move right on into this fast-moving Easter holiday. And I'm going to start with Ms. Stacey Bonner Lewis. Come on up and give your last hoorah as we prepare for Linda Ham and give them the information about the who, what, when, where, how, and what you need.
All right. Good evening, Chairman, and good evening, Commissioners. This is it. Okay. On Sunday, we are actually giving the hams out to our seniors. So we still need ham donations from the community, from businesses, from individuals, churches, anyone that has the funds. Please donate a ham. You can bring it to the Olivia Haydell Center, or you can bring it to Courtesy Ford, or contact me. My information is on the flyer, and I will make arrangements to make sure that I pick up the hams from you. So we need hams to give out this Sunday. And then we also need students to volunteer. We're looking for high school students in the area. If you want to volunteer, you get 2 hours of community service. Come on Sunday at 2 o'clock. We'll give out the hams at 3 to 4. 2 o'clock, we just talk a little bit about the importance of giving back. We tell you how the actual production is going to occur, and we have a little fun, but come 2 hours early. Well, it's going to be a little early, so come 2 to 4 on Sunday.
Okay, all right, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. And as Ms. Lewis is taking her seat, let me just tell you, this is a first come, first serve, because, once we give out the hams, we're done. So, and it goes pretty fast. This is year number 15, but we certainly appreciate her leadership, but we do need, I hope you heard her, we need hams. We need more hams. There's somewhat of a deficit, so we certainly need donations. So anybody out there listening, we would love to have a Director Redmond come on up and give us a brief on the Easter egg extravaganza. I think you got a lot of young people excited and their parents about coming out.
Yes,
and
sir.
milk.
Yes, sir. Easter egg extravaganza. It's going to be 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Saturday, March the 30th, in Costa Mill Park. The address is 2599 Salem Church Road. If you need details about this event, please feel free to call 770-278-7209. 770-278-7209. That is Costly Mill Park main number, and someone will be able to assist you if you have any further questions about that.
All right, very good. Chief McDaniel, you also giving them, if they can do both, but if they miss that one, you still got them covered.
Well, in straight bunny fashion, I'm sure for all those little bunnies that still have energy, they come on by 1496 Rock Bridge Road at Fire Headquarters for our Firehouse Extravaganza. That's from 3 to 6. So once you have fun at Costly Mill, got a little bit more energy to spare, come out and see us. There's going to have a fun field, hot dogs, education, face painting, eggs. Going to have a great time.
All right. This is going to be an extravaganza weekend. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Chief. Also, next, I think Public Relations has a video they want to share with us in reference, kind of recapping our 15th annual Pastors Table we just had this past last Thursday night. Absolutely. And if you have that ready, Executive Director Mims, you can have your team to cue it up, or you want to come on up and may as well you may as well come on up instead of that way that you'll be stuck to the seat there. Come on up, Director, and tell us what we're about to see.
Supercalifragilistic. So on last Thursday, we had about 45 pastors show up for the 15th annual Pastors Table. It was a great event. We had about 8 new pastors to show up, and some that have already agreed to bring prayers at the next board meeting. So we're super excited about that. Here's the video.
I'm Chairman Osmond. For the past 15 years, we've been celebrating over 300 churches, local churches, here in Rockdale County. Every mile and 3/4 of a mile, there's a church. Here at Cook Some Seafood in the heart of Old Town Conyers, tonight we're celebrating all of the work that our ministry partners and faith-based entities do to continue to move Rockdale County forward.
We've been to the Pastors Table for about 10 years, and it's important that we do come so pastors can all get on one accord.
My goal is to make sure that you know who's on first, who's in charge of Parks and Rec, who's in charge of city service. If you need somebody to get the water restored, who's in charge of the water department. We want to make sure that you can connect with the people that assist us in running the county.
We should reach out to each other. This is what this is supposed to be about. For us to network and find out what can we do. Can I pray for you? What are you going through? This is what we should be doing.
If anybody knows anything about the community of Rockdale County, it's the pastor. So let's start with them so we can be better and better informative to our youth and to our elders.
The chairman has invited me to the pastor's table. I've been here so many times, I don't remember which count this is, but I'm so honored to be here.
We want to bless people. It's a blessing to be a blessing. But if they come to Rockdale County, they have to be ready and prepared. Pastor is here to go to work. Well, say thank you to Public Relations who heads this project up. This was, Commissioners, the 15th year. Many years you and Commissioner Washington both have come over the years. This has become somewhat of a staple event. They expect this to take place. But this year I received, 2 days following, a lot of information, or a lot of feedback, should I say, from the pastors. They really appreciated coming out. Also, I will say Pastor Darrell Hall at the Way Church gave a big shout out Sunday morning to Miss Stacy Bonner Lewis as his church is partnering to participate with the Linda Ham program. It's another way for local churches to get involved and be a part of community engagement. So I want to say thank you to Miss Bonner for making that connection at the pastor's table. So thank you to you, Executive Director Mims, and your team for always putting together a very welcome event for our. I think it's important that, as I often say, folks talk about separating church and state, but the truth of it is, Commissioners, we really can't do that on the local level because government alone can't take care of all of these people. We need the village effect of our local clergy and our faith-based entities to help us do what we do. So thank you so much Director, go ahead.
Since I'm up here, I would like to invite everybody to the State of the County on next Thursday. Let's see if we have that video.
Okay.
So this year, we will be hosting one State of the County that we want all of the citizens to come out and get an update on Thursday, March 28th at 9 a.m. right next door at the Rockdale Auditorium. Open seating, but we want the citizens to come out and get an update on where we're going in Rockdale County. That's all of my announcements, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Okay. Very good. Thank you. And the State of the County address is a collaboration between the Office of the Chairman as well as the Public Relations Department. So the commissioners have highlighted their women's history individual. Mine is a little local, but I do want to highlight it. And in highlighting this individual, I really want to spotlight one of our county departments. So I'm always getting text messages, and sometimes things happen at the last minute in the county. People will text me about this, that, and the other. So yesterday morning, about 6:30 a.m., I received a text message from one of our local educators, a school teacher over at Heritage High School, she and her husband and her children are the caretakers of her elderly dad. He's a Vietnam veteran, and he was being discharged from the Veterans Administration in Decatur. And she had to be to school, the kids had to be to school, her husband had to be to work. He's wheelchair bound. He has an electric wheelchair. And she found out about the Eagle, our veterans transportation vehicle, at the last minute, I mean literally at the last minute. And she said to me, as she texted me first and then she called and said, listen, I know this is extremely last minute, but do you think this can happen? My dad is coming home. I've got tons of things happening at the school. I can't do it. And I said, I don't know. I said, but we're here to try to help you out. I immediately contacted Director Redmond, and Director Redmond told me to lower your blood pressure, Chairman. We're going to figure this out. He said, I'll get a hold of Deputy Director Susan Morgan, and we'll figure it out. They picked him up, got him home. The lady sent me a shouting message, text message, thanking us for being able to give Director Redmond and Susan Morgan, Deputy Director Susan Morgan, a round of applause. Now, I'm highlighting this educator. I'm not giving out her name. That's not important. When you talked about in your presentation, Dr. Williams, about women doing everything, doing everyday things, and you said what they got to do. Here is certainly a child of a Vietnam veteran taking care of her dad. And that's because we have the Pearl program here, and we understand that some elderly people are left to their own demise. They don't have support and caretakers to do, and she's an educator. She has her own family. She has them living in her home, but she needed some help. And a lot of times I think we get so busy forgetting about the everyday working person who needs help too. Sometimes regular everyday people just like us find themselves in a bind. And she found herself in a little, between a rock and a hard place, but she found out at the last moment, Ms. Chester, about a resource, Rockdale County, the Eagle, the Veterans Transportation Vehicle. I want to highlight the educator who's educating our young people. She's taking care of her family with her husband, but she's taking care of her elderly father who served in the Vietnam War, and we were able to pick him up and get him home. Thank you, Director Redmond, and to Deputy Director Susan Morgan and the entire team that supported. Let's give them a round of applause. Absolutely. So when Commissioner Williams was talking about women doing what they have to do, and here is another woman, a strong woman who's an educator. She's a wife. She's a mother. She's a daughter of someone that is now depending on her. And the last thing, and I got to get this out. The last thing she said to me when I talked to her on the phone, she says, "I got to do this." She said, "Because my daddy paid for my education." And that right there meant everything to me. Y'all give her a round of applause. I don't have to call her name. Absolutely. So often people forget who deposited things into their life. She didn't forget her daddy. He lives with her. She taking care of daddy. And she said to me, "My daddy paid for my education, so now I can be this. I'm this educator and able to be able to give back to the community." So I wanted to make sure I highlighted her, and we always because again, an educator is much like public safety and public servants. A lot of times, the people who are taking care of the people need to be taken care of too. Sometimes, so I just wanted to point that out. That pretty much wraps it up for me. I don't know if I'm omitting anything that's critical, Executive Director Rutledge.
There's one thing we need to hear from talent management tonight, so I think Executive Director Holmes is going to make a quick announcement.
All right, Executive Director Holmes.
Yes, good evening, Chairman,
Good evening.
Commissioners. Just wanted to announce the ADA accommodation process and wanted to make sure that we have a dedicated line. So if a citizen requires an ADA accommodation for access to this facility, and ADA stands for Americans with Disability Act, wanted to make sure that we share that dedicated line. So the line, 770-278-7022. Again, that's 770-278-7022. This number is available during all public meetings. If someone requires access during Monday through Friday between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., they can call this number or simply access the administration building, come into that front desk and make the request. If it's after hours, they can also still call this dedicated line and someone will answer and be able to assist.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And thank you for sharing that. We've had a lot of feedback about making sure that we are able to accommodate. And I appreciate you all working with General Services and Parks and Recreation, all of our departments who are responsible for making sure that our buildings and facilities are ADA accessible. Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And that was all we had.
All right. Well, is there any need for executive session this evening?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out. Happy Tuesday. This meeting is adjourned.